Hello.
Hello.
I'm Allison.
My name is Regina George.
Please tell us your real name.
I'm Joe.
And also you said her name wrong because we all know it's actually, wait, what was the joke that we were saying? Regina Rapp or Renee.
My name is Regina
Renee George? What was it?
Rapp. I think it said Regina Rapp.
As we'll
Yes,
say.
I am a massive deal.
I want to say the next part, but I didn't call.
Fear me, love me. Stop and stare at me. And yes, these are real. Did you know the man who invented karaoke just died recently?
Okay, you know what? That's interesting you say that because I did see an article that was an obituary.
Oh, where they post about dead people.
That was like about
Who died?
someone who died related to karaoke, and I didn't really put it together that it was the founder, and I apologize for not realizing that. But very quickly, I think we should every time until we're old hat at this, just give our little intro. 'Cause I just think it's endearing. We're long-lost neighbors who love movies, and then
we were living our queer movie-loving lives.
It doesn't have to be exact to the script.
By the way, I'm sick for the 20th time we've done this goddamn podcast.
You are sick often. Would you say that was always the case, or is this a new phenomenon for you?
As a kid, I'd usually get sick once or twice a year, but in my 20s, I rarely got sick. And now in my 30s, I might be in the obituary soon.
Say that. Wait, I don't think we need to do the intro, actually. I think
You guys, we don't have to fill you in every time, do we?
You know who we are.
You're smarter than that.
We're queer.
We're mean.
Okay. So we're here today to talk about Mean Girls, which is a movie, which is a
Mean Girls,
musical.
The 2024 musical.
Which is an adaptation of the musical stage play, which is an adaptation of the 2000s movie starring
2004.
Lindsay. Joe's really good at that, knowing the exact date of when movies came out.
Yeah, because it's 20 years since the
You're right.
original.
You're right. So it's an adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation.
And look at it. Why don't you describe your viewing experience of Mean Girls, the 2024 musical?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I have a long-winded story to tell you.
And then if you do remember, what you remember from watching the original Mean Girls.
That's a lot. Why don't we do my viewing experience, your viewing experience,
We can mix and
the
match.
past. Well, we don't need to be so formal.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. We're having trouble getting started.
Little technical difficulties.
Okay. So, viewing history. I was very excited about this movie for a number of reasons. One, I love musicals. I enjoyed Mean Girls, the original. I had seen Mean Girls, the musical on Broadway in 2017, 2018, I don't remember.
I like that note you hit.
Thank you.
2017.
It's because I want to be in a musical. But yeah, I went to go see the musical because my high school classmate was actually in the musical. So, I mean, we were not close personal friends, but I thought it was very...
Did they play Regina?
No, she was in the ensemble, and I think she was Janice's understudy, which I thought was really cool. Speaks to the power of acting, because I would not say this person was a Janice in high school. Quite the opposite. I think she was very well-liked and cool. And then I saw the trailers. Okay, you know what? Actually, let's talk about this first. The trailers. You didn't want to see it.
Because they did this weird thing, and it's kind of exhausting to point it out, but they didn't show any of the musical numbers in the trailer. In fact, they played an Olivia Rodrigo song. So I was confused. Why are they hiding the fact that this is a musical? It didn't say Mean Girls, the musical. It just said Mean Girls, and then there's a musical note where the A is. I was concerned.
You didn't like the hidden nature of it.
Did you like the hidden nature of it?
Okay, so I'm just a really big Renee Rapp fan, so I was just excited.
To not even show her singing, though.
But I knew it was a musical.
We all knew.
So I felt...
But it was why are you... it made me nervous. I was I don't know, are these songs really bad? You don't know... I don't know. But it's not... This wasn't the only... It's a trend, right? Because there's another...
Willy Wonka. Or
Willy
the Wonka
yeah,
movie about his origin. Also hid that it was a musical, which I still have not seen.
Neither have I.
Anyway, I was really excited, but I thought everyone was going to be equally as excited, and we'd all see it together in January, and then no one seemed really enthused.
You thought because of Barbenheimer Summer.
Yeah. I thought it would be another Barbenheimer. Well, another event. Because we're the right age. We were in high school or younger when this movie came out. But anyway, so I didn't end up seeing it right away. And I kind of was sad about that inside. And then back then I was working somewhere where I would walk by Universal Studios on my way home from work every day. There's a big movie theater there. And one day I was a little early to grab the Metro, which I was, taking at the time as one of the few Angelinos taking public transportation. And I looked at the movie times on a whim and I saw that I had 15 minutes to get to the screening of Mean Girls. And back when I was living in other places, I used to see movies by myself often because I lived in a place where there were movies people didn't want to see with me. So I would just go by myself. Anyway, I was like, I'd love to see a movie by myself. I could see Mean Girls, blah, blah, blah. Let me get up there. And Universal, for those of you who don't know, is on the top of a giant hill, probably a mile and a half long. And I only had 15 minutes. I was running up this hill.
To catch this movie?
Yeah.
There is a Universal tram that you can just take.
I didn't think I had time. Because we took it that one time, takes a long time.
Slow, yeah.
Like, I can just walk. I can just run.
It's a big hill, though.
So by the time I got to the theater, I was exhausted. Then I watched the movie.
Did you get popcorn?
Of course,
so you
always.
Did have time to get popcorn?
No, I ordered it ahead.
Oh.
While I was running up the hill. You can order it ahead on the AMC app, everyone.
Kate Bush running up that hill.
But anyway, I was like watching this movie and I was very conscious that I was very like sucked into the story the entire time. But I kind of came away from it being like, that was fine. Like I thought it could have been better. But then I ended up seeing it 2 more times. Once with my sister. Oh my gosh, I just realized something.
Oh, you weren't supposed to admit that you
I was not supposed to admit I'd already seen it. Okay, Caroline, if you're listening, I'm really sorry. I did technically see it by myself all alone. Like 2 weeks before we saw it, and I pretended I hadn't seen it. Oh gosh, I feel really bad.
You know what I'm going to say next, right?
What?
Not fetch.
But anyway, I'm so sorry to admit that I did see it once before, but when I saw it with my cousin and my sister in Pennsylvania when I was visiting home, I truly loved it. I was like, this was amazing. Maybe it was like being with people, being in a bigger theater. I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. And then the third time I watched it was with Joe in preparation for this podcast. What's your viewing history of this movie?
My viewing history, and this is on our couch. So we've since moved, we rearranged the downstairs twice now. I got a little experimental and moved the couch once. And so we watched it in that new couch setting. And we have since moved the couch back to how it should be.
True.
A little bit of a tangent. Doesn't really have to do anything with anything. If not, just to put the evidence out there that
we're spontaneous.
What
was your reaction?
I don't know. I
feel like you sound negative right now, but I think you liked it more when we were watching it.
I did. They were like, basically anytime Regina Rapp.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Whenever I saw Renee Rapp or who's the girl from Moana?
Oh, wait. We should look up her name. Oh, Auli Carvalho.
So I really liked Renee Rapp and Auli Carvalho.
I think it's Carvalho, something like that. But yes, they were the best. I mean, they were not. I don't want to say the best, but they were standouts.
I was really excited when I saw them on screen, and whoever played the gay guy.
Oh, he also has a difficult name, Jaquel Spivey.
Jaquel Spivey.
Yeah, which sounds like it could be French. I'm not really sure, but yes.
Musicals of the 2010s. I'm only basing this off of this musical and Heathers. I don't know how to describe the songs. I don't know. It's just
Joe talks about this kind of a lot, actually. He says that sometimes more recent musicals, they do this thing. It's kind of confusing when you say it because you'll say something like the characters stop and sing about their emotions or like what they're feeling, which is kind of what a musical does. But I kind of know what you mean in that it's not propulsive. It's like not really moving the plot forward.
Yeah. And then also just a lot of the songs just aren't very catchy. I was raised on Les Mis. I was raised on Phantom of the Opera.
You're forgetting your favorite.
The Lion King.
Your favorite.
Your
Sweeney birthday
Todd.
Is, I mean, that's
my
favorite.
Oh my gosh, yes. My favorite, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
These new musicals, it's like, maybe they are just a little too whiny for my taste.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much a musical person. I love it when it's very, like a Les Mis, like it can be very dramatic and overwrought, but I'm into it. Or a Sweeney Todd where it's dark, but also kind of campy. I'm into that. Mm-hmm. Just silly, just fun. My favorite musical movie ever, Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one movie, that's a big statement.
That's your favorite movie ever?
I mean, it's not really my favorite movie, but it's just joyful. And that's what musicals are. Okay, one more thing before we actually talk about the movie, which we should talk about Renee Rapp. So I kind of feel in a very self-centered sort of way that I caught on to who Renee Rapp was very early, long before she gained the heights that she has now in terms of popularity or fame.
Did you know her from Sex Lives of College Girls?
I think yes. So I love Sex Lives of College Girls, especially the first season. I think her character Layton's like coming out story is really the heart of that first season. And while I was watching that show, I found out she was also a musician. I started listening to her music. That's how I found out she used to be Regina George on Broadway. I found out she won the Jimmy Award in high school, which is like basically the quote unquote Tonys, but for high school students. And then I said to Caroline, I was like, I really feel like this girl's gonna take off. Like, she just seems to be the total package. And my sister was like, I agree. And then we find out she's cast in the Mean Girls musical. She has a new album coming out. We go to Amsterdam for my sister's birthday, and I never do this, except for Taylor Swift, I logged on to buy tickets to her performance at the Greek Theater at like 5 o'clock Amsterdam time, which was like, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning, LA time or whatever it was. I secured great seats to go with my sister, but then turns out she couldn't go. Then I asked Joe if he wanted to come.
And I was like, who the hell is Renee Rapp?
I'm like, you're going to know her name soon enough.
And I was like, sure, I'll go.
Yeah, we did like a little listen through. Yeah. And then we went to get not costumes, we wanted to dress up. And she's really a Gen Z lady. So I was like, I must be as Gen Z dressed as possible. I tried on all these different outfits. Mm-hmm. And then I picked this like, not quite tie-dye, but it was like multicolor 2-piece shirt and skirt, long skirt.
Yeah.
It was something I would never wear.
Have you worn it since?
No. Oh. No. I mean, I might wear the shirt at some point, but no, I haven't. And I was like, I'm going to fit in so well.
Did I just wear my purple Hawaii shirt that I usually wear?
I think so.
Okay.
And then we turn up and everyone's in black. So I'm really sticking out. But I'm like, whatever. It's fine. We definitely had some drinks here before we left. Yeah. Then the concert starts. Renee comes on. She's incredible. And I'm kind of like live reacting with Joe, because that's what you do during a concert, especially when it's outdoors, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this girl was in front of me and she kept turning around and like looking at me. I thought she was smiling. I'm like, oh, she wants to be my friend. And she did this like 3 or 4 times. And the last time she turned around and really made eye contact, so I smiled at her. I thought, oh, she's going to say something like so nice to me. Like, oh, I don't know what. Maybe I like your outfit. But instead, she said, could you please be quiet? No, could you please stop talking? Or what did she say?
Was it stop talking?
I think it was, can you please stop talking?
That's vicious.
It was, and I, 1, like just did not expect that. And 2, really just didn't like being labeled as a loud person. Because even though when I listened to this podcast back and I'm like, oh no, I sound so loud in comparison to Joe, I really hate it. But in general, I don't feel like I'm a very loud person like out in the world. So it just was very like shocking and stunning. And so I became extremely quiet.
Well, we tried
unable to enjoy the concert.
Yeah, that was hard because it was right at the top too. Isn't there a song where it's like...
Yes, hilariously, she has a song called Talk Too Much, where she reclaims the idea that she talks too much. And anyway, the point is, I don't think this person was being a very inclusive, kind fan. She could have just said, hey, I'm so sorry, but you're being a little loud. Like, would you mind just being a little quieter? Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Of course, but that's not how it went down. Anyway... Don't worry, because later on that night we went out and we went to a dance bar, and then Joe disappeared to go to the bathroom or something like that, and I was by myself, and this man approached me and he was like
oh, okay.
He was like, asked me a question about something. He was like trying to get a drink, and he's like, how's your night going? And this was a gay bar, so it was a gay man, you know, no one was hitting on me, I don't think. And then I was like, well, it's fine, but someone said I was too loud tonight, and I'm really not that loud. I just feel really bad about it. He's like, you are not too loud. Don't you worry about it. And then he like hugged me. It was really sweet. And then I felt better. And okay, I never confessed this part, but he actually kissed me.
On the lips?
Yes. But it wasn't romantic.
Okay.
It was like cathartic. It was like, no, that's not what was happening.
He's like, these lips, they don't talk too much. They just kiss.
So the bullies, they exist even when you're in your 30s at a Gen Z concert.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's not her fault. We should say everyone has their bad moments, and maybe mine was talking too loud and hers was calling out in a rude way. So forgiveness for both parties. Moving on to the actual movie. Okay, should we just talk about like the parts that are different, or like the queer parts, or like what, like our favorite parts? How should we, because we aren't going to recap the whole thing, because I feel like it's much more of a cultural touchstone.
And you liked the original movie?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I think I remembered, like at that time I was very studious. Like the way Katie is presented in the beginning of the movie before she's transformed into a mean girl, that's who I was. And I had this judgmental part of myself when I was younger where if I watched quote unquote good students, good girls and boys become bad, I was kind of like, unless it was like Girl Interrupted where it was like really
disturbing.
Like I don't know, very emotional and dramatic. It was just kind of like someone making a bad choice because they liked a boy. I was like, ugh. Idiots. Why are they doing that? I don't believe that would really happen. None of the smart, serious girls I know would do that. Yeah. So anyway, that baggage aside, I feel like it has a really good arc, the first one. And but okay, the queer stuff I think is like really negative in the first one.
Yeah.
For the most part, except for the fact that there was representation with Damien.
Yeah, but To a degree, he was almost still like
A joke.
butt of the joke.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
he's too gay to function.
Yeah, too gay to function.
Yeah. But okay, this is an interesting. Okay, now I'm remembering what we want to talk about because it's interesting. The original was much meaner. Like they use the word dyke, which I guess, are we allowed to say that on this podcast? I guess
it's up to you.
I think it's fine to say that, but I'll let you know in the other words as the moral police of the podcast.
It had a lot of bite to it.
Yeah.
And I just think the casting in the original Mean Girls is so precise and brilliant. Mm-hmm. And every main actor in that movie went on to have a very long acting career just because they were so good at what they do. What?
Gretchen?
She was in Family Guy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And then she got fired. And then she's in a lot of Hallmark movies, I think.
Oh, you're right. Okay, because she was in a movie I loved, Lost in Space.
That movie's great. She was also in Party of Five, I think.
Oh, with
it was a popular TV show.
Someone of Lost fame, Matthew Fox.
Whoa.
Jack Shepherd. But yeah, I guess what I mean is like in the first one, the insults and the way like even queer identity are used, the intention is like punching down, but that's because it's examining mean behavior in 2004 culture.
Yeah.
Felt very accurate to the culture that we were in. And this one tried to update it by taking out any words that were too mean. Yeah. And like, I just didn't think anything that I mean, no. It wasn't as mean. Let's put it like that. And the argument is that, oh, Gen Z, they're too woke to be mean like that. I don't really know if that's 100% true. I feel like they're just smarter. Like they're not going to call you a slur to your face, but I've read articles about like secret Instagram accounts that get leaked at school and then kids get expelled or like, so mean stuff's still out there, just different. And maybe Tina Fey isn't as able to like tap into that culture anymore. And I don't know, she has a Gen Zer, like, or also, Gen Alpha. Anyway, continue.
At our age too, being so far removed
from high
school, maybe just because we're more, I don't know, have like a wider understanding of some of the nuances, maybe what like doesn't seem so mean to us could still be perceived as mean. Or
I think some of the stuff Regina Rapp did. Yeah, let's call her that. So some of the stuff Regina Rapp did was quite mean. But because I like Renee Rapp so much, I just found it like endearing. But then my cousin, when we left, was like, oh, she was so scary. And I was like, oh, I guess she was. I just enjoy her performance so much I was able to overlook all her.
So is Regina Rapp gay in the movie?
So great question.
And was she gay in the original one?
Great question. So there's been a lot of chatter online, as there always is.
I was going to say where.
About how in the first one, Regina George has so much aggression and she's very like interested in putting women down, very interested in like the social dynamics of women. And then at the end, like the way she's able to kind of push through and become a better person as she took turns to sports. Like the last scene is her playing lacrosse very aggressively. And so there's been kind of a joke / queer reading of the movie where it's like, oh, Regina was a closeted lesbian and that's why she's so mean, which I find kind of delightful, whether it's true or not. And then Renee Rapp has been quoted on her press tour saying like, I'm playing her like she's queer. Like, yeah, for sure. Like she definitely is. That lady is a lesbian. And she kind of been joking about it in a very fun presence in the media in the way that she responds to questions.
She's having a field day.
But anyway, interestingly, alongside kind of this movie's release, Renee Rapp was very, if you know of her, very famously bisexual or out as a bisexual person, has talked about this multiple times. Her songs are about both men and women. But over the course of this press tour, she actually came out as a lesbian.
Even being in like an SNL skit.
Yeah, where she said that she was the little lesbian intern in a PR skit. I don't remember. Anyway, the point is that there were multiple things where she said she was lesbian. Then she kind of clarified that, yes, she now identifies as a lesbian. So, yay. Go Renee. Still
and we don't think you talk too much.
No, keep talking. Keep making me laugh and keep singing. And honestly, keep acting. I really enjoy your acting. So I'm going to go with Regina George is lesbian or she's queer. Oh, and then what do we think about the Janice changes? Because Janice is now a lesbian. In the original, she really was not a lesbian, but just thought to be one. And that was the horrible thing that Regina did to her, was that she called her a lesbian and slandered, quote unquote, slandered her name. So it was really very much the insult.
Yeah, because that was like the movie, the first one, it's like, she called me a lesbian. I'm not a lesbian. How dare you? But then it was like, then there was Damien. He's too gay to function. It was like it was a little muddy around like
where it stood. Who
can be gay, who can't be gay. And I think the intentions were good. And of course, in 2004, it'd be really interesting to be like a 30-year-old in 2004 and be like living in LA. Like, I don't know. Like for me at 14 years old, it was like horrifying, the idea of being out. Like that seems like so like countercultural, like not accepted. But then I'm like, I think we have become more accepting over time, but I don't know. It just seems like a very scary time to be out and about but things were progressing definitely. And just having like representation of someone who's not a villain in a movie be gay, I think was important to have.
Yeah.
On the journey to representation. But I don't think it was like the Mean Girls original one. Like I don't think it wasn't like a central.
Except for the Janice storyline, but that was really just to demonstrate the
how awful
angst between the two of them.
Yeah.
And also I just think it's interesting that the Janice in this one certainly had an artistic way of dressing. Like she was definitely not dressing quite the same as the other girls, like because she's an artist. But in the original, I feel like they just like dressed her scary.
Goth girl.
I know, but I just found that like I just think that's an interesting thing to tie to queer identity, even though she wasn't queer. I don't know. It's like she looks scary. Like lesbians are scary.
Okay.
They're not attractive to men at all. Look at her hair. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just something so interesting about her look in contrast to the way that they costume designed Janice in this one, where she's definitely, you know, she has like crazy eyeliner. Her hair, I think, is dyed in certain scenes, but she's not like off-putting.
Yeah. I didn't think Janice was off-putting in the first movie.
Maybe that's just my own bias. I was scared.
I think that she's kind of like, she reminds me of the woman in The Craft.
That's scary. Okay, maybe this has to do with, did you have goth people at your high school?
Not really.
Oh, I was wondering if maybe because you were like more used to seeing goth people. But I went to high school, everyone was wearing a uniform all the time, you know? So like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't see
think
people like that out in the world and it was scary to me.
I find it.
You're more open-minded than I am. Sorry to all the goth people out there. It's just my preppy, clean-cut upbringing.
I wish I could find this video. I edited this. This is such a tangent, but I edited this video. It was like matched the outfit to the person. And there's this one girl, and she described her sense of style as spunky.
Hey, wasn't spunky like a word that was more popular at one point in time, and now no one really like? I might call a dog spunky.
This was like in 2018 when I edited this video, and she was definitely like around my age. Like she wasn't that to describe your style as spunky. I think it's so funny.
Well, musicals are inherently spunky. I'm gonna argue.
Spunky?
Yeah. You got spunk.
I don't think so. Spunky's like.
I think spunky. I think like a dog with a lot of energy. What do you think spunky is? It's
like a dog with a lot of energy, but like all their hair is like gelled, you know, like something like bizarre is happening.
You can't see the face I'm making, but I'm confused.
That's what spunky is. Like spunky's like.
No. We usually use a laptop to fact check. So I'm going to look up the definition of spunky. A spunky person is someone who's high-spirited and brave. The hero of fairy tales often described as spunky. It takes a spunky traveler to cheerfully find her way across a busy city without a map. And a spunky kindergartner might march bravely into school on the first day.
Is spunky
a compliment? A Google ask is spunky a compliment? The answer: no young adult or middle-aged person wants to be described as spunky.
Yeah.
Calling someone this term can sometimes come off as a little condescending and obnoxious, but it's actually a compliment. So
it's
in a
not.
weird...
When you call someone, when you describe, like say spunky, it's like you can't say a compliment. So you're like, oh, I'll use this adjective that I don't really understand what it means to apply to you.
Interesting. I don't know if I agree, but I don't really use the word that often.
You've been calling me spunky behind my back, haven't you?
Yes.
Like, I feel bad.
Got a lot of spunk. But one other part about the queer updates to Mean Girls that I think speaks to the difference between how they're treating the Regina George and Janice storyline is that the story of their fight has changed, where originally it was like Regina tells Janice, oh, you can't come to my birthday party because it's a pool party and you're going to look at all the girls because you're gay.
Yeah.
Speaks to tropes of the predatory lesbian, which is a trope in media where lesbians are like desperate and aggressive and out to like find women, but they can't really find women. So they're kind of dangerous. They're going to prey on vulnerable young ladies. And it's a very negative media trope. But now it's a little different where it's kind of actually a little convoluted, but very fun, where Regina and Janice, they each had like a special doll. It was like a trend in middle school where everyone had these like special dolls or stuffed animals. And then Janice put a gay pride pin on her stuffed animal as a way to come out to Regina. And Regina, being a really good ally, put the pin on her stuffed animal. And then they go to a birthday party where they play spin the bottle and Regina gets Janice and is worried that a boy doesn't like her but likes someone else. So she decides to like really make out with Janice in front of everybody.
Wow.
Which is very gay. But then she says, I knew she'd let me do that. She's so into me. Like, wait, what was the line they kept repeating? Oh, she's so obsessed with me. And so, which is obviously, again, speaking to this idea of like the poor, sad, desperate lesbian who like pines after her friends, who like, you know, is just always searching for the love she can never have in creepy, sad ways. And so, of course, Janice is like, no, it's not okay. We can't be friends anymore. So they're not friends anymore. But then Regina keeps the doll with the pin, brings it to class, has a weird name for it. Ceci Les or something like that. I didn't really, that was hard to catch. And eventually Janice finds out after months and months that she's been calling the doll an obsessed lesbian, and everyone knows it's supposed to be Janice. They're all laughing. So then she sets fire to the doll and accidentally catches Regina's backpack on fire. It's in the science lab, to clarify. So there are flames available. And Janice has to go away or gets expelled for a little bit or whatever. And that's the updated story, which I thought was more nuanced than the original.
Yeah. Great.
Oh, and there's another thing we should talk about. The prom sequence. Both the characters have queer either love interest, or Janice has a prom date that's a woman, and then a man approaches Damien for a dance. And also, they juxtapose a very interesting scene, which is the math competition.
Yeah.
Where the two girls go up against each other and are kind of not insulting each other in a weird way, unlike in the original. But do you remember what was the difference between those two scenes?
I remember the original.
Oh, describe the original.
The original, Lindsay Lohan goes up to compete with this other girl, and a huge missing element is Katie's internal dialogue. Mm-hmm. It's like so essential to the original one, like to give you insight on what's going on, just because it's hard to get on the screen. But Katie goes up to answer a problem, and she's looking at her opponent, and her opponent has like a little lip hair above her mouth. She kind of has a unibrow. She has glasses. She's kind of cross-eyed. And Katie's kind of just like
in her head
ripping this girl apart, like, oh, like look at like all these unattractive features. And she's like, wait a minute, like why am I doing this? Like that's not how I'm gonna win. And while she's so distracted by her internal thoughts, she misses out on answering the question. But the other girl gets it wrong, which gives Katie an opportunity to answer the question. And she tries to think back in her memory, and Erin's head is blocking her view from the board that would give her the answer that she learned in class months prior. And then finally she's able to erase Erin's head and see the answer to discover, what's the line?
The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
The limit does not
Which
exist.
is such a powerful scene.
Great line. Oh, it's a great
she's like,
moment.
literally she's obsessed with this man, and he's blocking her from her full potential.
And
she's finally allowed to like erase him. God,
yeah, like when she's able to let go of criticizing other women, putting them down, and also her attachment to Erin liking her above all else, she succeeds. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I remember now. In the new one, what happens is they give her some of the lines to say out loud, which is really awkward. Where she's like, we don't have to be in competition. And then Lindsay Lohan, who's the moderator, amazingly, of this competition, is like, well, actually, it is a competition. But then what I thought was interesting is they juxtaposed this scene where she's realizing that she's not in competition with other women against the scene of Janice getting ready for the prom and meeting her girlfriend or the girl she's seeing to go to the prom. And at first I watched the movie 3 times. I was like, why are they putting these two scenes together? I don't get it. But then it was really obvious once I thought about it a little bit more, which is that I think the purpose is to be like, we're in this society still where like we pit women against each other, but there's another world where we could all be on each other's side or like really love women. And like queer culture, queer love between women kind of is one of the examples of that, where it's all about loving other women. So that's kind of my takeaway. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I guess it's fine. I just think that Tina did such hard work on that first movie and just really made a masterpiece. And then this one, you kind of just, it's not bad, but it kind of felt like she like took her shoes off, kicked her feet up, and was like, let's just have fun.
And
it's fun, especially, and you pointed the scene out before, the change that you and I both laughed at, and you laughed even though you did 3 times, is in the gymnasium. Tina walks in like she's gonna launch into her
solo,
but then she like coughs,
and there's
like,
even music. It's like, what was that? And then they cut to all the actresses' faces, the like main character faces, and they're all like, huh?
Yeah,
I thought that was very funny.
That was funny. So I just think it was very much like, you guys, the beats of the movie, just enjoy the music.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm thinking maybe like the first one was meant to like actually be satirical, and this one is more like cashing in on nostalgia.
Yes,
and this I'm okay with. I feel like there were certain things in the first one that
felt
problematic,
true.
That should be changed. But I think they went a little far in taking out everything. But then, like, what does it mean? What does it mean, though? Line?
Yeah, to say it's problematic, like it needs to be problematic because it's a commentary.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree. But then there are parts like, okay, I think that's what they were struggling with, because like, yes, the mean parts should be problematic because it's mean.
Yeah.
But like, there are certain things like, let me try and think of an example. Like, I think they should have left in dyke, because I think that's an actual insult intended to wound, and I think it would have worked in this movie too.
Do people use that word anymore though?
I don't know. Maybe old people. Maybe not young people. I don't know. But I mean, I think they should have left in some of the cruel elements. But then, like, for example, her nickname in the original one was Africa. I can see why they changed that. Or, like, making jokes about how she's white. Like, kids are too smart and too culturally aware nowadays to think that's... to say that, don't you think?
Are they?
I think they are. I think that... I know in the beginning I was saying that they're not, but I think they're, like... They are as aware culturally as we are, but they also know how to... Yeah, but they know how to, like, circumvent.
Are they? Based on what?
I'm telling you.
What teenage people are you hanging out with?
Do you think that teenagers today, like, do you think you would hear, I'm sure in high schools in 2000s, don't you feel you would have heard slurs? Like, there are certain slurs I don't think you would hear in a high school today because kids are too clued in. They're not going to, and they care. They're not going to say, like,
I mean, this is,
yeah, right?
I mean, I guess, I don't even know.
Kids, write in. No. I think, like, Tina couldn't capture properly because I think we're both, like, right, where, like, they're still dumb kids who are going to be mean to each other, but they're also in our current culture and not in the culture of 2004. So it would be different, but also meaner than it was. Does that make sense?
It does.
Wow.
Well, we're going to talk about songs that we liked, but I also want to talk about, isn't it interesting in real life that 3 of the actors from the original Mean Girls are gay?
What? Well, Lindsay's bisexual. Lindsay Lohan is bisexual.
I'm talking about the men.
Oh. I was thinking of the Mean Girls. I'm like, who? But yeah, Lindsay Lohan, bisexual. Okay, Aaron Samuels, gay.
Yeah.
Damien.
Yeah.
Gay. And who's the third? Who's the third?
The Indian guy.
Oh, cool. Look at that. Look at that representation. And in the modern one, I think many more cast members are probably... Okay, Aaron Samuels. Let's just briefly talk about him.
Boring.
In the first one.
I
actually thought I liked him.
In the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like... I feel like
cute.
he was very non-offensive. I was like, sure, fine.
I don't know. I feel like he had more to him. No offense to the Aaron Samuels in this one, but I felt like he was very, like, inoffensive in a way. Like, I didn't quite see what the...
I mean,
with Aaron Samuels in the original, I kind of saw what was drawing in these girls.
Yeah.
I didn't really see this one. He is in one of my sister's favorite shows / books called The Summer I Turned Pretty. In that show, I can see, even though it's very problematic in that show, he is very dismissive and avoidant, and I mean, he's going through a lot in the show. But
so in this movie, he's like, I'm gonna try something different.
He was like a good guy in this one, or like, you know, somebody.
Was he?
I don't think he did anything wrong in this movie.
He was a bowl of oatmeal.
Well, okay,
without
that's what I'm
anything in it.
That's what I'm trying to say. But in The Summer I Turned Pretty, he's kind of like a Heathcliff, a moody, uncommunicative, semi-unkind boyfriend for a teenage girl, and he's kind of held up as like oh, this guy, oh my god, what a Heathcliff, I love him. I'm like, no, bad messages for kids, bad. But anyway, that's a tangent. Anyhow, in this movie, I didn't really get it. And also, there's just like one line in the song. Speaking of songs we like, smart in math but stupid with love is the song, which I really liked. It's a great premise of a song. But anyway, there's one line where it's like, and this guy he's so cute, I love him so much, he must go to the gym. And this man, I can see why he's very beautiful person, but he doesn't look particularly muscular, like built. And so I was like, I feel like they should have rewritten that line. But anyway.
Yeah. You know, just to catch you up on my life, I've been freelancing for this company all the way in like Sawtell / Westwood, and it's a pain in the fucking ass to commute there every day. But on my commute back home today, I was listening to the Mean Girls Broadway musical, and then I was listening to like the Mean Girls movie musical. And there's the Meet the Plastic songs.
Which is different in the movie.
And
I know that.
I had read on like Reddit, for some reason, I'm kidding. Probably because I've complained so much and we've talked so much about Mean Girls, is the Mean Girls musical subreddit, like automatically, even though I'm not subscribed to it, pops up on my recommended.
Sure.
People always asking questions. And I remember someone posting about like their disappointment in like what songs were changed in the movie or which ones were like omitted completely. And Meet the Plastics, a lot of people expressed disappointment in the 2 side characters to Regina. Their like character songs were cut out, and so I listened to them today for the first time.
With that,
and like Gretchen Wieners is like really good because it gives insight into her like
her psychology. Like I just
psychology of like being second best. Yeah, being second best. Being second to best to Regina.
Oh,
be the queen bee
is kind of what I remember.
Maybe
my memory was that she craves like this love and attention from Regina that she's never gonna get, and it's because she has such poor self-esteem. To her, any kind of attention from Regina is.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
The love that she is getting from her, even if it's cruelty.
Oh.
But then by the end of the movie, she's learned her own worth, which is why the update to Fetch is so lovely. Because, okay, hilariously in the beginning of the movie, the fetch line happens, and then Regina's like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's from like some old movie like Juno, which is so hilarious for the older people in the audience because it's like, ha ha ha, what an inside joke. And then she keeps saying the line, and Regina's continuously mean about it, and like, that's never gonna happen. But then by the end of the movie, this little boy who's been her kind of sort of boyfriend, but he's like really mean to her, she'll be like, do you like seeing me? And he'll be like, yeah, I guess, like, if you're standing right in front of me. Like, he's just very like, he's not into her, and he's like really cruel to her.
Yeah.
And then at the prom or the dance or whatever, she's wearing this wig, and he comes up behind her and like thinks it's somebody else and is like, hey, my like main girl's coming, but like she's not here yet, so I kind of want my side piece going. And she like whips around, rips off the wig, and is like, no, I have a really high IQ, my parents love me, I have like amazing body, and like I am fetch. And then her friend, the Karen character, is like, oh, that's how you use it. And I really liked that.
That's great.
I really liked that.
What a great little button. But then one of the updates that I kind of liked is Revenge Party in the new one. I kind of liked how they updated it.
That was
they
my favorite
even
song.
Incorporated like the like instruments from like band. Like,
yeah.
That, I thought that was really cool. That was missing in the Broadway version. But then that brings me to Katie's performance.
Which, you know, I really like that actress. She was in Mayor of Easttown as Kate Winslet's daughter. And honestly, I did not dislike her performance.
I didn't dislike her either, but it's just hard.
She's not as good of a singer.
Once you cast Renee Rapp in it, like, she steals the whole show. And
it's like really
in
Regina Rapp's
Renee,
story.
it really is.
Renee Rapp story.
Yeah. And then do you remember we were going for a while? We had a... Remember that one night we just kept saying over and over again?
That was hilarious.
We would just say we'd like say something like, you know, but you know, I've seen a snake eat a cow.
Which is a line
from the song
that Katie sings when she's like deciding she's really going to commit to this revenge plan and like kick it up a notch.
Eat a cow.
Like how you're singing
while you're talking.
Yeah, it's great. Which I do find it's a great way to exaggerate. Like,
we'll get our party now.
I also really like heads on a spike, like fake angry, you know? I'm like, yeah.
They were just like really big shoes to fill though.
Yeah. And Lindsay Lohan plays it. Because what I think was so amazing about Lindsay Lohan is she could be a Katie.
Yeah.
She does that great, but her as a mean girl
was believable too.
It's so believable. Whereas, I mean, I feel like when she does become a mean girl in this version, or the Queen Bee, I believed it. It's just that like it's a transformation for Lindsay Lohan in a way that I didn't feel like it was 100% transformation here.
No, which again, I think that Renee Rapp kind of did become the main protagonist of the movie.
Yeah, and I mean, wouldn't you say like culturally speaking, Regina George is the person that had the bigger impact anyway? Like when people are joking about Mean Girls, they're not talking about Katie Heron.
She's the straight man, right?
Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
like the protagonist.
Our vehicle into it, but the people you remember are the
everyone,
people around her.
The characters around her. But the movie still revolves around
her
Katie's character
journey
in the first movie, which again ties into the fact that they had the inner monologue. So she's like literally the one narrating it, so you kind of miss that out too. But yeah, like interesting choices. The parents were less in this movie, literally cut in half.
Question mark about this.
The dad doesn't exist.
Oh, which I mean, it's great that like, cool, like a single mom family. I think that's a great addition. And I thought there was some really sweet moments, the very few moments between mother and daughter, very sweet. But also like Regina Rapp does have a dad who's in the like prom picture scene, but he's not in the movie. There just like wasn't a lot of parental involvement.
Which I thought was so strange because I feel like that was kind of the interesting part of the first movie is like
their kids
comparing like the parent, like it's like, oh, like you kind of see
like why they are
the way they are.
And that's okay. That's another problem. Side note, another thing we should talk about on the podcast. It's how I feel about Yellow Jackets sometimes. These kids in Yellow Jackets are like stranded in the wilderness. But it's like they don't ever think about their families back home. It doesn't really seem like it. There's like some lines. I'm like, that's sort of weird for teens. Like
they can only do so much.
Like anyway. But another song I loved in the Broadway version, actually, the only song after I left the theater that I remembered and downloaded to my iPod was Janice's song, I'd Rather Be Me, which I think is a great message, a great
Sing
little,
it.
I'd rather be me, I'd rather be me than be with you. Something like that.
Who's she singing about?
She's talking about her, it's like when it's like, okay, the point in the movie where she's going to apologize, but then she hears like Regina make a joke. So she kind of tears up her apology and like reveals the whole revenge plot in front of everybody. And in the original, she dives into the big group and they're like, yeah, go Janice.
Oh, yeah.
And this one that was like happening, but instead Janice breaks into a song about how I just would rather be myself than be appeased by fake niceties or be fake myself. Like she kind of it's about being authentic, I guess. And how even if that means you don't have any friends, it's better than the alternative. It's a great song, but in the movie it was kind of strange because...
Is it where she's running around the school?
Yeah, and I just...
You pointed this out. You're like, this upsetting.
I just feel like it was like placed wrong. Like it wasn't choreographed right. Like, I mean, she did a great job, but it was just like very... Also, like when the song starts, you like it's kind of the only awkward break into song, I thought. She like turns to the camera and begins singing in like a very cheesy way, and it kind of makes me cringe. And then she's like running through the school. She goes into like the boys' locker room. She goes into the boy workout room. And I guess my conclusion after thinking about it was that they were trying to be like, because in the song she says like girls are raised to like share and not be outwardly aggressive. So we like only get our aggression out in like underhanded passive aggressive ways, whereas boys get to like learn how to be aggressive and how to fight. And so she's in all these like male spaces on campus is what I think they were going for, to show that she was trying to adopt a more masculine approach to conflict. I just don't think I don't think they pulled it off. But I think that's what they were going for.
Okay. Yeah, I did not get that at all.
You know, I did see it 3 times.
And I've seen a snake eat a cow.
Did we forget anything? Have we?
You know,
There's Tina. There's one thing about Tina
that we forgot to talk about.
So Tina was recently
Sing it.
on Las Culturistas, aka Bowen Yang and...
What does Las Culturistas mean?
The Culturists, I guess. But what is Bowen Yang's co-host's name? Matt
Rogers.
Matt Rogers. But she was saying, telling Bowen he was too famous to share his real opinions on a podcast, and that Matt Rogers would soon be too famous to share his opinions on a podcast, and how apparently Io Idaribi from The Bear had a long time ago on a podcast insulted Jennifer Lopez in some way, shape, or form, and then Jennifer Lopez was set to perform on SNL the same week that Io was hosting, and she had to... It was actually very endearing, but she like went to her dressing room crying like to apologize, and Jennifer Lopez was of course very like nice about it, but that was like her warning, like, you're just too famous to share your real opinions. That this podcast, I'm in 2 minds about it, because on the one hand, I think in the moment I am very authentic and I just say what I think, and I like to talk to people and be real with them. But there's another part of me that's very protective and analytical and scared, and so I'm like, should we even be having a podcast where we talk about our opinions?
To not share your opinions because you're too famous.
Well, I'm not talking about the fame part. It's more like
sharing your opinions, not
like committing famous to your opinions. It's really about commitment.
We don't need to commit to any of our opinions. Are you kidding me?
It's really reassuring to hear.
You've heard it here first. I think we say on this podcast we can't take responsibility for.
Well, that seems like a slightly... We do take responsibility for any harm we cause.
Oh, yeah.
And apologize in advance, but I see what you're saying.
Well, let's make a pact that if we are ever in the wrong...
We will talk about it.
We need to talk about it.
And we'll apologize. It'll become a therapy podcast. And I love psychology and therapy, so I would love to transform this into a psychology podcast.
It is kind of therapy in a way, right? We're talking it out.
Absolutely. I mean, I just shared my big fear about having a podcast on air.
People always say about you need to do the work, and here you are doing the work.
No mean girls here. Intentionally.
So, Mean Girls, the musical 2024, is it queer?
I mean, absolutely. Not only does it have little lesbian intern Renee Rapp, queer icon, amazing singer.
Proud of her.
Being the star. But also it has been updated, and maybe it is a little nicer. But you know what? I'd rather live in that world than in the world of 2004.
Oh, yeah.
So I
thought you were going to say than this world. I was like, oh my God.
Well, okay. One more thing. Apparently on the press tour, one of the questions they were asking the kid actors or the teen actors, the early 20 actors, was, would you rather go to high school now or in 2004? And then Renee Rapp was like, well, I'm gay, so now. No, yeah. But anyhow, it's definitely gay. It's queer. It's wonderful. It's a musical. There's so many reasons why it's queer. What do you think? I feel like I'm always answering the question.
You are. I feel like you're really good at like having your thesis statement and following it up with the subject sentence. Is that what they call it? Topic sentence.
Oh my gosh.
Followed by commentary sentences.
Absolutely.
And then a conclusion sentence. And then you write more paragraphs on top of that. And then you finish it off with the conclusion paragraph that not only sums up everything in the other paragraphs, but ties in the theme of the introductory paragraph.
I've never been so honored.
And I just can't do, I just kind of, sometimes I don't finish sentences. Like really? I would just throw out a thought, and then I wasn't like confident what I was saying. So I just would stop and not finish the thought.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the opposite problem where I commit and then the recesses of my mind, I'm like, why did I say that with so much conviction? What if I don't believe it? Can I take it back? So
You can take it
it's good
back.
that you're thoughtful
Yeah.
before you speak.
Well, yeah, it's more positive spin on it.
I am relentlessly positive.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
But then the word relentless before positive seems kind of like a negative
Is
trait.
it toxic? Is that the new, is it queer?
That's the new mean girl.
Actually, yes.
Being overly
exactly.
positive.
That could have been a whole, I feel like somebody of this generation should do a Mean Girls, maybe not called that. Because exactly, like, I feel like now it's like, oh, I'm doing so much like work for other people and I don't think about myself at all. And
yeah, what's the word for that? Where you like...
I mean, covert narcissism would be the psychological term for it. Covert narcissism is a really interesting idea where it's a narcissist who wants to be seen as good above all else. Like, that's how they get their kind of ego. That's what their ego is seeking, that kind of validation. And so, anyway, I think it's interesting because other kind of narcissists don't care about that. Do we use the word narcissist too much in our culture? Are we qualified to answer that question?
No.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm. Well, what else is going on in your life?
What is going? I started a new job.
How is it?
It's pretty fast-paced.
Allison, we were out one day and Allison was like, I was listening to, or you were like reading articles, like, and they told me that I should have a microphone at all times, just recording sounds. Anywhere you go, so we can throw it into the podcast. So right now, I think it'd be a great opportunity if you grab some of those behind you and crinkled it so we can hear you.
No. Okay, what I said was I took a podcast course in grad school where it was about how to create your own podcast. And the teacher pointed out that it would be great, like, to capture sound in real time. And since we are now podcasters...
Move the plastic around so we have the sound effect. We don't really know what's going on, though. We'll let the listeners' imagination run wild.
I got a new job that has props.
Which actually is not a good giveaway of what she does, but...
It's not an industry job. I'll say that.
Oh.
Because, I felt like the industry jobs I had didn't pay enough money. And so I was always very worried about money. And as a writer, I just think I need to write. And, hopefully someday someone will be interested in that. But if they're not, it's okay. And it's kind of more about the writing and not about the biz and it is about that, but just not for me. I'm not that kind of, I'm an artist.
And even though you said it just now, you can always take those words back.
Oh, yes. I feel less bad about that because, your career, you got to be a little bit of a mean girl to get ahead. What's going on with you?
I was really not expecting it to go that way. Talk about yourself.
I'm less afraid of sharing personal details about myself. It's more my opinions about things that are not related to me. Where do I have this authority? And also sharing information about other people that is not me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, I am who I am.
I would say that's really kind of you, but maybe it's just covert narcissism.
Exactly.
Spewing out.
Now I'm going to worry about that. And then I'll have to Google about this. And then they'll say, if you're worrying about being a narcissist, you're not a narcissist because narcissists don't worry about being a narcissist. But you probably do have anxiety, which might make you focus on yourself a little bit too much. Right?
Things are good. I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. Time means nothing. Time is moving forward very fast. The weeks go by slowly yet fast at the same time. And yeah, I've been working this job that I basically am commuting 2 hours every day. It's pretty easy work. I like having a paycheck, but right now the entertainment industry is kind of, once again, there's a lot of uncertainty. The IATSE might go on strike. No, I'm not in the editors union. I really want to get into it though. If anyone has any,
one day
job recs,
email queercinemacatchup. queercinemacatchup@gmail.com.
I can cut as good as I can talk. Hopefully I talk pretty well.
Even though you were just saying.
No, I don't finish my sentences.
Joe's an excellent editor and an okay talker. No, he's a great talker. Yeah, the industry is in a weird place where it's at a standstill.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening.
Recently, the Oscars happened. We went over to my friend's place, watched the Oscars there.
Joe came in second in the ballot contest.
I did really well. It was the summer of Barbenheimer, as I mentioned before. And it was just a really good summer for movies. Dune 2 came out. It's doing really successful too. Yeah.
Quickly. Dune 2. Is it queer?
No.
Timothy, people love Timothy, men and women. Same with Zendaya.
What are you talking about?
I'm not saying they're queer icons, but I'm saying like I've had a lot of friends, girls and boys, tell me they love Timothée Chalamet. I've had a lot of friends, girls and boys, tell me they love Zendaya.
Look, I had a dream a few weeks ago where I made out with Austin Butler. That does not make Dune 2
yes, it does.
Queer movie.
Yes, it does.
They cast attractive people in movies all the time. That's how you get butts in the seats. That would mean that every movie is queer, which I guess in a way...
That's what I'm saying.
It kind of is because Hollywood is built... I'm not saying that.
It's fine to say because it's true in a certain way.
In combination with...
But it's going to get, because of a couple things, because of like the QAnon conspiracy theory and then the actual very real instances of abuse in the industry, it might get conflated, which is unfortunate that queer identity, because people think sex, gets put up against that actual harmful criminal abuse. They're different.
See, Allison's always spitting out research papers in her monologue. She's using words like conflated. I feel like my vocabulary is just spiked living with you.
But you know what's interesting is you used to ask me a lot to define the words that I was using and you don't anymore. So I think you've learned.
maybe you've just stopped using big words because you're annoyed that I keep asking.
I don't think so. I didn't even know I was doing it. I mean, I don't think I am. That's just like when Taylor Swift's quoted being like, my songs, everyone tells me that I use so many big vocab words in it. I'm like, do you? Like, there's not that many. Like, that's kind of embarrassing.
Roast over here.
What can I say? Okay,
Gaylor fans, please don't unsubscribe.
They probably already did after, even though I'm one of you. It's fine. Okay, here's the quiz. We're taking the BuzzFeed quiz. Which Mean Girls character are you most like? One of the questions is, pick a 2000s movie to watch with friends. One of the options is Twilight, and I am rewatching the whole Twilight series with my friends. You got your answer?
Yeah. I hope we got different people.
Oh my gosh, who'd you get?
You go first.
I got the character I was dissing earlier. Katie. Your personality matches Katie. You're open-hearted, smart, and resourceful. Like Katie, you're someone who makes friends with everyone, which is often seen as a strength unless you get caught up in the popular crowd. You're someone who loves to explore the world around you, and you love experiencing as many different things as possible. I would say that's pretty accurate. Both to who I was in high school, even though I was very shy, but if I could break through that was very accurate. Your turn.
As I said at the beginning of this podcast, and you corrected me, I'd like to re-correct you again and say, my name is Regina George.
Wait, okay, let's go through. What were your answers?
Your personality matches Regina. You're confident, cunning, and charismatic. Like Regina, you're often seen as the leader of your friend group. You can make a decision, and once you know what you want, nothing will stop you from getting it.
That's true.
Some are intimidated by you. I was called intimidated at pickleball recently.
I mean, yeah.
But you know your strong will is your greatest strength.
I'm gonna agree with this.
Not even a bus can kill me. Are you mad that you're not Regina? Seems like you're kind of mad that you're not Regina.
No, because...
You're a little mad right now. So you'd say that.
Okay, Regina.
Well, this was Queer Cinema Catchup. We're so glad that you tuned in and listened to this episode.
Thank you so much.
We're posting
on Thursdays.
Weekly.
Please email thoughts, questions to queercinemacatchup@gmail.com.
Yeah. What's a fun Mean Girls related question that they could answer? And we could...
Well, okay, because I do like to think in essays. I would love to hear your thoughts on comparing and contrasting the original and the new one and what you think, what they did right, what they did wrong, if it captures the culture today. And then for a fun question... Joe.
What Mean Girls character are you?
Yeah, what Mean Girls are character.
Tell us what you got on the quiz.
Yeah, it's just the BuzzFeed quiz. You can find it.
We say, listeners, please write to us, aka Caroline, please.
Yeah.
Our one listener, please.
Write in.
Email us.
Tell me, and then I know what it's going to be. It's going to be like, dear Allison, I can't believe you lied. And you had already seen Mean Girls so that you kept it a secret for this long. I'm not surprised, and yet I'm devastated. Love, Caroline. Sorry.
You might as well.
I'm sorry, guys.
Send her a pre-written email and just have her sign in her name at the bottom.
What if I read that exact email in the podcast next time and everyone's like, wait a second. Is Caroline real? She is.
Is anything real?
Oh, no.
Find out on our next podcast where we'll be talking about... I'm just kidding. We don't want to lock ourselves.
We don't know.
You guys, we're
fluid.
Free form. Except when it comes to sexuality. Then I'm one angle only.
You were very rigid in that moment. Fred. Like Taylor Swift's album? Sorry.
I knew you were going to do that.
I can't help it.